All right, in Objective 2, we have been talking about using this thing called the Rational Zero test to generate ourselves a list of possibilities of zeros for a polynomial function. Now, these possibilities are only the rational ones. To get like imaginary ones or irrational ones, we can't use this. Okay, but it gives us a place to start. So on exercise 7, I want you to do, just like we did in the video, list out what are the possible zeros that I could get using that rational zero test. It is a factor of the constant term divided by a factor of the leading coefficient. Give both of these a try. Go ahead and pause the video, come back and see me. Well, what do you think? How about this? So on the first one, the constant term was 15, so I have 1, 3, 5, and 15 as the factors, and the leading coefficient is 1, so when I divide those out, I just get 1, 3, 5, and 15. So maybe you can generalize this that whenever your leading coefficient is 1, the only possibilities that you're going to have as zeros, rational zeros, are the factors of the constant term. That's it, because we're dividing by 1, it's not going to change. Okay. On the second one, it's a little bit trickier because the leading coefficient is at 2. So I write down my 1, 2, 3, and 6 for factors of 6, and I'm going to divide them by both 1 and 2. Dividing by 1 doesn't change them. Dividing by 2 only affects the odd ones. So 1/2, when I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. It's already in my list. 3/2, and then 6 divided by 2 gives me 3, which is already in my list. Now, remind me again, after I have this list, what am I supposed to do with it? In order to factor, I check them by synthetic division. I may not get it right the first time. If I don't get it right the first time, I throw that one away and I try something new. Okay? So let's try that right here on exercise 9. Find all the real zeros of this function. So we're doing it from start to finish. We're going to come up with a list of rational zeros, of possible rational zeros, and I'm just going to do this right up top here. Since the leading coefficient is 1, we know that all we're working with really is this 18, all the factors of 18. So I've got plus or minus 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. I can tell you right off the bat, probably get rid of the large number. Whenever you go to start this, try starting with the smaller ones. Try positive 1, see if that works. If it doesn't, move on to negative 1. So let's first start with 1. By synthetic division,
I'm not missing any terms, so I have a 1, a negative 4, a negative 15, and then an 18. Bring down the 1, multiply, 1. Negative 3, multiply, negative 3, add negative 18. Looks like we got lucky. Negative 18, that one's 0.
So I've divided that factor out. Now I have to factor whatever is left over. That's x squared minus 3x minus 18. I don't think that'll be too painful. So this has got to be x and x, of course. And then the 18, how about a 3 and a 6? And they got to be different signs, and they have to add up to a negative 3, so that's a negative 6 and a positive 3. Okay, so this means that my function would have factored like this. X, look at this original 1. It's positive 1 here, but inside the parentheses is going to lie to you. Minus 1 times x plus 3 times x minus 6. This means that the zeros are x equals 1, a negative 3, and a positive 6. And I'm done. But just look at this. Look at that list of possible rational zeros. Is every single one of them are answers in that list? Let's say I got a 1 in there. I got a 3 in there. It has plus or minus at the front, so yes. And 6 is in there too. There we go. So here is your opportunity to do that exact same thing twice. Pause the video, give it a try. All right, here, take a look. So on the first one, I generated my list of possible rational zeros. Since leading coefficient's 1, it's really just all of the possible factors of 14, the constant term. I start off checking 1, but notice it didn't work. Okay, so throw it out, try negative 1. So I tried negative 1, it did work. I factored the quadratic that was left over. and then was left with x equals -1 from the original factor I found, 7 and 2. Okay, switching over here to number 2, it may have taken you a bit to find the right factor. So I went ahead and did one wrong one. I did the number 1. It didn't work. -1 wouldn't have worked either. As a matter of fact, there's only one number in that whole entire list that works. That list of 10 things, the only thing that works is the number 5. So you synthetically divide by 5 and you get x squared plus 7 left over. Well, if you set that equal to 0, subtract the 7 over, take the square root, it's imaginary. So these ones right here are not real. Not real. And it says to find all the real zeros. So I can ignore those. So I factored it as x minus 1 times x squared plus 7. I'm not going to get any real ones from here. So right there, not real ones. And I'm only left with the 0. Ah, not 1. Not 1. This is a 5. Oh my gosh. Pay attention. Pay attention. It's the number 5. 5 is the only one that works. Okay. That's it. See you in class.